chewing of Betel-Quid or Tambula, or what is popularly known as Paan, is a fascinating ritual in itself. We find the earliest mention of betel leaves in Pali and Sanskrit texts that date back to 400 BCE. There is some mention of betel leaves in the Puranas as well as the Arthashastra. However, this ritualized practice of chewing a betel quid with lime and areca nut, according to scholars, perhaps gained prevalence during the Sangam era. Subsequently, their mention can also be found in Sushruta and Charaka Samhita, as well as the Kashyapa Bhojanakalpa dating back to 75 to 300 CE, which mentions the ingredients areca nut, camphor, cloves, nutmeg, cardamom, and cubeb pepper. Eventually, texts from the Gupta period around 300 to 750 CE suggest that chewing betel quid was a post-meal ritual meant to make the mouth fragrant, clear phlegm, and aid in digestion. Now, all of the texts that talk about this ritual emphasize on good smelling breath and the need to eliminate odor, especially after a meal. Now, if you remembered, we referred to Pugapata in the previous kala. Puga meaning areca nut, and this word Puga is of Dravidian origin. What does that mean? So, Dravidian origin means a language that was spoken in the southern parts of India. The word Tambula is of non-Dravidian origin. Studies have also shown that betel leaves are originally native to the Java region in Indonesia. So based on this information, there are two theories about how this ritual or custom came to be. One theory suggests that this was a custom that originated in the southern coasts of India, and the other theory suggests that this was a custom or ritual that was prevalent across the East Indian archipelago, and it came to us or it came to India from there. I used to live in the Philippines, and I've seen some old women chew betel leaves with their mouths turning red in the local markets. And do you know what it is called in the Tagalog language of the Philippines? It's called nga nga. Betel leaf is also known as Nagavalli because of its shape that resembles the head of a serpent. It belongs to the pepper family, which explains its sharp and spicy flavor. There are 7 distinct varieties of betel leaf: Shrivati, Amalavati, Satasa, Saptashira, Amalasara, Paulika, Vesaniya. Each of them have distinct medicinal properties different from each other, and texts, of course, as we know from the Pakadarpanam, explain the physiological effect of consuming each of these betel leaves. I'm reminded of Tati. Tati used to chew betel quid, and she was very particular about the variety of betel leaf that she chewed. She preferred the South Indian variety, or at least that's how she referred to it. And these leaves were lighter green, they were smaller in size, and they were thinner in comparison to the, they were also less spicier in comparison to the betel leaves that were darker green, bigger and thicker as well. What we cumulatively learn from all of these texts that chewing betel quid was an elaborate everyday ritual. Why is it a ritual? Because it had very specific rules surrounding its consumption. Firstly, preparing the betel quid itself is an elaborate process. The leaves are washed first and certain portions of the leaf are torn and discarded. The lime gets applied next, followed by katechu and areca nut. The aromatics follow next. And after this, the leaf is folded in a certain precise way before it is eaten. Now, depending on who is eating this and at what time of the day, the ratio and the proportion of the ingredients varies. Yes, there were certain specific times of the day that were prescribed as ideal for chewing a betel quid, and there were events that led up to chewing the betel quid. For example, it was chewed particularly after an oil bath and of course after meals. And there is also a prescribed method to savor a betel quid for optimum health benefits. Now, a paan is got a lot of flavorful ingredients that stimulate the salivary glands. So it is prescribed that the first two set of salivary juices that get formed in the mouth need to be spit out because they are toxic, and whereas the third set of salivary juice onwards needs to be ingested because they have tremendous health benefits. A paan is usually kept in the mouth and chewed over a long period of time. Texts also contain elaborate notes about its psychoactive effects, contraindications, and health hazards caused by excessive and inappropriate consumption, especially of areca nut. Remember, we talked about this in the last kala, where Nala in Pakadarpanam mentions about how toxic ingredients, when in certain combinations and when consumed appropriately, can become superfoods, and superfoods, if consumed inappropriately, can become toxic. Now, while each of these ingredients that go into a betel quid have a number of medicinal uses and medicinal properties, inappropriate consumption will certainly result in health hazards, like how we have been witnessing in modern times. With several modern renditions of it, commercialization, addition of tobacco, excessive areca nut with other intoxicating substances added to it, and of course lifestyle changes and mindless consumption, the potential risk of health hazards has significantly gone up, including dental troubles, oral cancer, as well as addiction problems. Now, something that I have seen in terms of thought process is that one thought process is about rejecting everything that is ancient as baseless and not scientific, and the other thought process is to embrace everything ancient as it is to the T in the name of tradition or preserving culture. And I feel that both of these are extreme approaches. Something that we must understand is that the world has changed. The lifestyle that we lead as of today is very, very different from the kind of lifestyle that existed 1,000 years ago. And when these rituals were designed, when these rituals were created, they were meant for a different lifestyle, a different time, when the world was different, when the quality of ingredients were different. There was no such thing as genetically modified ingredients. There was less contamination. So all the rituals essentially suited that time and age. Now, that is not to say that they have become completely redundant, because while the narratives may have shifted, truth does not change. So it is important that as we approach approach these rituals, we critically analyze them, we try and understand what is the essence, what is the wisdom that lies within these rituals, within these ancient texts, and we adapt it to our life as of today. The species that we are, we always learn to adapt and creatively find a way around things. And that has happened with Paan as well. Some creative people have found a way to enjoy the flavors of Paan without actually eating a Paan. It has become fairly popular to infuse Paan flavors into beverages and desserts, including Paan flavored ice cream and kulfi, Paan pastries, Paan pedas, Paan chom-choms and other sweetmeats. And infusions, if we recollect from our last kala, is in fact a very ancient practice. The other thing that I've learned from these ancient texts is that as human beings, we have always sought pleasure and enjoyment. We love the experiences of feeling good, feeling pampered, feeling comforted. We have always loved to indulge our senses in experiences that make us feel good. Paan is also an acquired flavor, and I personally know of people who feel that the flavors of Paan is just too much for them. As a child, I could never stop getting fascinated by how your mouth would turn red while chewing a Paan. And there is a part of me that gets amused even today. You know, every time I chew a Paan, I go to the mirror and put my tongue out and see how red it has turned, or if it has turned red at all. Children are never given a traditional Paan. Just like how you don't give children coffee, you don't give them Paan. But then there are children like me, there are, who insist on having it their way. So we would get a children's version of it, more popularly known as Meetha Paan. And typically it would not have the areca nut in it. It would be the betel leaf with something sweet and fennel seeds. I love my Paan. I love eating a traditional Paan. I love the betel leaves. I love the burst of flavors and the textures in your mouth from all the different ingredients and the aromatics that go into it. I don't eat Paan every day, of course not. But then it's a ritual that is reserved for special occasions like festivals, or when we have guests over and I have prepared an elaborate meal. I don't like areca nut, so I don't generally add it to mine. But then I do offer it for my guests if they want to have it. I create my own version of it. But more than all of that, what I love is the ritual of preparing it. I particularly enjoy laying it out there, and just laying it out is such a visual treat in itself. And after that, I also enjoy preparing the Paan, like taking the betel leaf, applying the lime to it, putting the aromatics and neatly folding it. So I always offer to prepare it for others. And the other thing that I particularly enjoy is to share this knowledge and teach others how to make their Paan. Why don't I show it to you right now?